Welcome to DFS Insights, where the match behind the match comes to life. I am David Geislinger, and alongside me is David Grant Jr., my cousin and co-strategist. And the event up on the block is UFC on ESPN 59, Namajunas versus Cortez.
With your lineup success as our top priority, this is where David and I will dive deep into what fight matchups we think you should be targeting in order to put yourself in the best position to be at the top of the leaderboard at the end of the night. We're going to break down the strategy behind our picks and share our insights to enhance your lineup construction.
Yeah, so here we go again. I had a week off. And well, apparently one fighter didn't have a week off because he's up on this card. But yeah, now coming in here, UFC ESPN on 59, UFC Denver, Namajunas versus Cortez, whatever you want to call it, looks to be actually a pretty full card now. Starting out last week, it was only at 9 fights, and now it's up to about 12. So it kind of changes. At least my strategy, looking at 9 fights, just kind of looking for a full 6 wins, that would probably put me up there in the money. But now at 12 fights, got to start thinking more about inside the distance and those round 1 finishes. So yeah, here we go. Card seems to be all right. Obviously Rose up at the top, Cortez. We have Silva, who's the fighter I mentioned. He just fought at 303. He did miss weight, so I'd be curious to see if he can make weight this time. I think he's doing that for, to show the UFC he's, not that guy, basically. We have a few, fighters that 3 or less fights here in the UFC, and we'll go over that here shortly. So, David, you got anything to say before we, just dive right into these, potential matches that we think, going to be in that optimal for that 100K to first tournament?
Yeah, I'd say, just be aware of what fighters on this card are taking the fight on short notice. There's quite a few. I'd say there's probably 4 or 5. So be aware of that because this fight is in Denver. It is at a high elevation. So it's no joke fighting, up at altitude like that. Fighters do gas out quicker. So, just be aware of that as you're constructing your lineups.
All right, let's go ahead and get into our first pick here. Coming up on here, we got, Gabriel Bonfim versus Loosa. Loosa. I'm sorry, probably butchered the crap out of his name, but puts me right up there with the UFC commentators as well. So, with that, this fight's interesting to me. Gabriel coming in at the favorite. He's at a minus 340, which is basically a 77% chance to win. Inside the distance, Vegas odds, negative 130, minus 135. That's basically 57%. And then Rose round 1 finish puts him at 240, plus 240, which is basically 30% chance to win. With an ownership coming in roughly around 50%, 52%, kind of skeptical about it. I've seen him as low as like 44% on a few sites and up as high as 50%. So I'm hoping more for the the lower end there to get a little bit more leverage. But his inside the distance odds of winning are pretty nice, but that ownership makes me a little wary there. Looking over at Loosa here. He coming at 250. That's basically a 29% chance to win. Inside the distance is at 650. That's 13% chance, and a round 1 finish is 1200, which is basically a 7% chance. The only good thing about this is his projected ownership is only about 5 to 6%. So with that ownership, I'll probably be, maybe at that, ownership, maybe slightly above it, like 7%, because his ownership is still lower than his odds to hit that round 1 even at 7%, or that 13% inside the distance. So just in case he does do it, I would like to, at least have some exposure, but not. I'm not going to go crazy with it. I would definitely have more Bonfim here. What do you think of that for this matchup?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair assessment. This is coming in at a welterweight, so they're fighting at 170. Um, you know, Bonfim, he has some quality wins. He's got a first round submission over Lazez. That was back in January of 2023. Then he had a win over Giles in July. He also had a first round submission there. He is coming off a loss, by knockout in the second round to Dalby. But all three of those guys are while they might not be ranked fighters, they still are in the mix and still in the UFC, which is always a big thing. So I think this is a definitely a good matchup for Bonifim to possibly get another finish here. And at 9,300, I think he's going to need to do that in order to be optimal for his salary. And then, as you mentioned with Loosa, I think with what the odds are saying, and with what he brings to the table, he is a good, ownership pivot just in case. Uh, you just never know in a fight what's going to happen. At plus
Yeah.
277 isn't anything crazy, though. So, yeah, I like playing both sides of this for sure.
Nice. All right. Yeah. So not too much here. This, is one of the. I just like it because both fighters aren't that bad in my rating. So that's why I kind of like that Bonfim being the better of the picks here. So moving on here to our second pick. I'm gonna butcher the crap out of this. It's between Jasudavicius. If I butchered your name, apologies. And Fatima Kline. So not too much information on Fatima. This is going to be her UFC debut. So no stats. That obviously, if you watch her other video here, that does affect the math predictions. So don't have any data to associate with her yet. However, she is coming in as the favorite. Vegas has her as the minus 120, 54%, 55%. Inside the distance at 475, that's 17%. And round one is 1,000, that's 9%. And the good thing is, even her being the favorite, she's only going to be owned 11%. So that's actually really good. And at a salary of 8,400, I'm I'm okay as long as she can put up the points. If she does get maybe second round, third round, finish decision. I don't know how much volume she does. Still got to do a little bit more research and watch some of her previous fights and look at the competition. But then moving on to Jasmine, she is still a minus 106, so she still has they're both it's basically a pick 'em fight, but Jasmine's going to be owned 28% as the underdog there. Inside the distance is 500. That's 16%, and the round one is similar to Fatima at 1,000. That's 9%. So salary is not really too big of a difference either. So Jasmine's coming in at 7,800, Fatima at 8,400. So if I like the fight because the leverage plays that both of them have, but I'm gonna lean here with Kline. One, she's gonna be lower owned. Not too many people, they're gonna, that UFC debut jitters. People go on that. It is a woman's fight, so it's typically lower owned anyway. So, a lot of things of this fight, if go right, will put you up there in that large field GPPs.
Yeah, I fully agree. I like both sides of this, but I do like Klein a little bit more, like what you're leaning towards, mainly as an ownership play. We do see. I'm just gonna say her first name, Jasmine. Man, her last fight against Cochiera, she did get a third round submission, good for 169 fantasy points. Well, that's not typical, but I mean, she has fought Cortez, Miranda, which she did lose to, but Miranda Maverick, Fernandez. So she's fought some, quality UFC opponents. Kline is undefeated. She's coming from Invicta. Invicta is a solid organization that the UFC does own. So with what her ownership is going to be and what her salary is, I do see that being a great play. So I'll have exposure to both sides, which I'd imagine you will as well.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'll definitely. Like I said, I'll probably be slightly, under the field at 28% for Jasmine, so probably around anywhere from like 22 to 25. Kline, I'll probably be about there, 11%. Probably sneak up to 13 to 15. So I'm not going to go crazy on the fights, but I do definitely want exposure and over the field, especially on the favorite underdog or favorite, like the lower owned favorite. So
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. That's that fight. Now moving into the third fight here. Try to keep it quick and simple for everybody. So those are the first two. So hit that like, subscribe, notification bell if you like the content. Also drop any comments, questions, down in the section below, and we'd love to answer some additional questions as well. So last but not least, coming in, Josh Fremd and Andre Petroski. This fight's actually, I like it. It's kind of rough because it is a pick'em, so it's basically kind of up in the air. But Andre Petroski coming in here as the favorite, but DraftKings has him as the underdog. Vegas has him at a minus 115. Fem is coming in at a minus 111. So basically about a 53% chance each of them have roughly to win. However, Petroski's coming in at 225 for inside the distance. That's about 31%. And round one is at a plus 500. That's about 17%. Ownership wise, he's looking at about 35% for Petroski and about 18% for Fremd. However, Petroski, you look down there at that takedown average, 4.32. So even in the potential, if he does lose, he could still, if he gets those, 3-4 takedowns, still be a good find at that 7,900 salary. So, and then obviously on top of that, if he does get the win plus those takedowns, now you're talking potential definitely in the optimal lineup with this salary of 7,900. So that's why I'm liking the fight. He is coming off 2 losses there. Fremd has not looked good in his last 5 either, so this is kind of who's going to get back into the stride of things. And I'm going to probably lean Petroski here. His ownership's 35. I'll probably be around there, 35 to 40% on him. He'll be one of my higher owned sub 8K salary. So, yeah, what do you think of that before we get to the math equations here?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I do like Petroski in this fight as well. I'll have exposure to both sides. Petroski is coming off a first round KO loss to Michelle Pajeda, and then a second round knockout to Malkoun. But quick turnaround. He just fought here March 30th of 2024, so it's good to see him just right back on the horse. He's going to keep things rocking. So I think he's hungry. I think he wants to get back in the win column. And I'll be at the field a little overexposed there. So and again, I'll have some Josh Fremd as well in my lineups, but I do like Petroski in this fight for sure.
Nice. All right, cool. All right, so that that wraps up our 3 picks here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You got some good information here. I basically, and David, I know we basically do research up until lock, and constantly doing lineups and things like that. So please feel free, drop a comment, ask questions. I'm more than happy to give it more additional information. We just try to keep these videos short, here for YouTube. So moving into our last thing, this is just basically, the brief snippet of our, math projections here. We do like a logistical regression, basically using the fighters' stats to predict an outcome. We ended up hitting 11 out of 12 in UFC 303. We took away the Diego Lopez fight, as obviously that changed the last 30 minutes and ruined quite a bit of people's lineups, but not to delve into that. But this is a snippet of just the math equations. If you look at our previous video, that's going to be here, and at the end, hit that link, go watch it. It does a side-by-side comparison to these math and Vegas odds, so they're pretty interesting to see. Tell us what you think. Do you think math is going to do another run here, or is it going to be math or is it going to be Vegas? So let us know in the comments. Drop that like, subscribe, and we're here to cover UFC while the NFL and NBA off seasons are here, and looking forward to hitting it big here. So good luck and have a good one.
Yep. Good luck out there. Hope to see you guys all at the top.